Okay. Well, sup my fellow gamers, this is Gaming Sean, and today is a special day, almost a special day. Today I just thought it'd be a great idea to talk about every single one of my 11 studio albums that have been released in 2020. And this will also include the current Frostbite, and we'll talk a bit about the future release that's coming out in February with the Into the Wilderness record. But before we can talk about those, we have to talk about the important stuff, and that's these albums that I've released over my year. But before we get started, I need to update y'all on my current health issue. I will be making new videos soon showing y'all physically what's going on, but I got diagnosed with high blood pressure, and I got diagnosed with low vitamin D and high cholesterol. Yeah, all this we'll be talking about in a separate video. Right now we're focusing on the albums. We're going to talk about that in another video, but let's begin. So on January 21st, I believe, I released one of my greatest albums in history. It was released, obviously, as you can see, it was released in January, which was a great time. It was released on January 20th, 2020. As I was saying, the album was released, obviously, on January 20th, 2020. Well, that's when it debuted, technically, but that's when it was released. Whoa! That's not what I meant to do. Anyways, let's talk about the album real quick. I said in the video reviewing this album of how much it meant to me recording it. And I can't deny it. This record was a masterpiece. It got things started for my channel, and as we can see here, these are the 8 tracks. Make it burn, make it move, make it groove. Uplift Me, the intro, and bass it up. We are our own people. Hey, hey, I love you, and I got my bass. Now, this album, I said it in the video, but the timing of the record was bad because I got appendicitis into the album's release. The last 2 tracks, I Love You and I Got My Bass, didn't get released until I got out of the hospital. And that's why the album took me forever to actually get out and produce. I did take a lot of time to record it, and it wasn't an easy process. But today by the way, I am going over the history of the albums. From the first studio album to the current Frostbite and the upcoming release of Into the Wilderness. Greatest Hits album will also be included, as well as the 2 main singles that I released during the time, which was a diss track, and of course, my beautiful single, or the horrible, cringy single, Jingle Bell Rock Parody. Now let's get back on the track with it. These songs took a lot of time to make. The first song, Make It Burn, was actually shorter than what it was. I don't have other recording or any demos of any of them. These were all singly handed recorded. But Make It Burn, I thought, was going to be a slightly less long track than the 7 minutes it is. And it's not even my longest song. My longest song we'll talk about later into the history. But nonetheless, this album debuted at number 1, obviously. It debuted at number 1. It's got 136 views as of today. That's impressive on my standards. But that's not the highest record that actually was produced. More on the next album when we talk about it. Now, I said, though, the timing was horrible on the record's release date, but it shortly got better but obviously the album was still released, and then I finished off the album, and then the rest was history with this album. Now, before we go into the second record, I want to state some more things. This record was supposed to be shorter, and some of the songs from the other record that came after this, which we'll talk about in a minute, After this album, the second studio album featured one track that was supposed to be on this album. We are going to actually head to the second studio album right now. So, on February the 2nd, I believe, February 2nd, my second studio, no, February 9th, I released my, on February 9th, 2020, I released the follow-up album to Gaming with Rappers. Slice and Rap came out on February 9th, 2020. And believe me, this album got the same current views as the first one. It is one of my currently most longest records, I believe, ever debuted. It debuted at #1, of course, as well. Now, the album timing wasn't horrible, because all the bad stuff that I gotten into happened after this album. Now, this record obviously contains the songs You Can't Hold Me Back, Boom Boom Boom, Oh, Stay Calm to the Music, Uplift Me to the Heavens, which, by the way, that's a masterpiece song. I Wanna Do, Relaxation, and, of course, the final weirdest track, I Hate This Song. You're probably wondering, by the way, why the name I Hate the Song is in this album. I hated this song, actually. I actually hated that song. When I released it, I hated it. It was a bad album. Well, it was a bad song. This album was great. That song sucked. And I'm not gonna lie, that was actually bits and pieces off of Base It Up from the first album. Now, this album took a lot longer than the first one did. And the reason for that is if we look at the length of the two, the fifth and the sixth track, yeah, you can see that the number increases really heavily. That's 8 minutes and 5 minutes and 27 seconds long in tracks. Now, if we look, the album was not bad. It debuted great, and it got the best views out of any of its records. But this record didn't perform well at first. The record actually sucked a little at first. When the album was released, it didn't get much or hype than the first one did. But now it's a big popularity, and it's one of my biggest records of all time. Now, the reason why I play a lot of the songs from this record is because actually most of my greatest hits come from this record. Now, this is one of the second Groove Pad albums I did. But obviously not my very last one, of course. I never stopped after this. This album, though, was a lot and lots of work to make. And this is my second studio album. My very first studio album was Gaming with Rappers, and this is my second studio album. I think after the Broken Line happened, I think that's when I released the greatest hits. One, I think, after Broken Life. We'll get into that in a minute. But, Slice and Rap, second album. Let's go to the album 3. Coming up next is my third studio album, Dark Awakening. Was released on February 16th. Again, I said it, this came minimal a whole week after Slice and Rap hit. This record has to be hands down my favorite record out of any of the ones that were produced. Why I think that? It's because of the dubstep and the way these songs sound. This is one of the best records that was made in my timing. And, man, I remember recording the first song. That intro that hit, like, no, he died! And then it goes to the transition where it goes to the dan and all that stuff. It opened to the best reception I got, but obviously not, as you can see, it got 112 views. Not the most popular album. Now this album contains my songs Dark Awakening, Techno Disco, Tough Luck, Groovy Move, Illegal Life, Dubstep Freak, and Death Showcase. Now, There are some facts in this album. There was, obviously, I said it a lot, I'm going to say it again, there was an 8th song that was going to be on the record. This album was originally going to be 8 songs, but I didn't get around to releasing the 8th song. I don't remember how it went. I sadly cannot show you, I think, because I never have gotten around to recording that song, ever. So it's like just gone now. And look, this is a truly great record, but not one to hate on. And this album got criticized sometimes, but it wasn't criticized often. It was a good hit, and it made my channel bigger after this time period. However, due to the fact that this came out almost in March, which that's when the next album hit, which, oh, I forgot, speaking of the next album, let's head to it. I can't say much. Do not mind this album. Next album, 4th studio album. Welcome to my 4th studio album that was released on March 30th, Broken Life. Now, this was I don't know. It was a great album. Oh my goodness, wasn't this a great album? Now, the reason this album remains so interesting out of them is because if you look at the length of the songs, most of them are 2 minutes long. There's only one that's not, and that is Epic Trouble. But hands down, this is the shortest, I think, out of the group head albums that were produced. Now, this obviously was my final album on Group Head until Lost in Space hit, which that was my 10th album. This was the 4th one. Never did I thought we'd have this. Now, this was released obviously after my depression battle, but we don't need to talk about that. If you could see the songs Carol of Life and Life is Power, those tracks were different named. Those tracks' original names, Carol of Life is Carol of Death, and Life is Power was called I Am Dead. Those were the original song names. But due to the timing of my depression, my mom had me change those titles. Thanks, Mom, by the way. I think the titles are still cool anyway. But she had me change the titles due to, well, obviously the timing wasn't good, and the I Am Dead doesn't sound like a very good track to release during depression now, does it? Now, this album actually was great. Received well, 114 views, making it actually more popular by 2 views than Dark Wave. Now, my favorite song on this record is Made in Power. It adds so much on it. Now, I didn't play this album much on the live stream, if any of you were there. We'll be talking about that as well, because that's part of the musical albums, because I'm going to be releasing that in a future live album soon. Now, this is a big thing. This was a big deal. Leave Now was an interesting track to open with. Broken Life, the track, had like a Smells Like Teen Spirit-ish intro. Like, if you listen to it, you can tell they're definitely in the same key. They're in the same key, but, I mean, I don't know. They just sound somewhat similar to me. And the album didn't even do well by receptionists. Y'all didn't praise it as much at first. When I released it, it was kind of released out of nowhere. I did make an update saying album 4 is coming out today, and then I released the album like minutes after I made that announcement. But this obviously was my final studio album on GroovePad until Lost in Space. So let's move on to my 5th studio album. Next up on my list, we have my 5th studio album, Into the Night. Okay, it may say news on the 5th album. That's not a track. I was announcing some problems with the album in development. This album had 8 songs on it. Well, actually, we might move this up. This is the album itself you need to see. There you go. That's the album. This is the album right here. This obviously contains the songs Screaming Terror, Evil's Corpse, Into the Night, the track, Sinkhole of Heck, Dreamer Reality, Cover Your Life Up, No Fidgets, and Sources and Conversions. This album, okay, it looks good, and it was 96 views today. I think that Lord of Light got more than that. If so, then dang, Lord of Light must have been masterpiece, y'all. This album was probably one of my biggest regrets at first. This contains, obviously, my longest song to date, the 10-minute masterpiece, Scream and Terror. There's a backstory behind that song. That song was made during time. This album was going to be originally released on Halloween, okay? I was going to make the other albums that came after this, actually before this one. This album's actually going to be saved for Halloween, but my group had thing got erased, and actually, I'm not going to lie, there was an 18-minute long song on this record. There was. The song Into the Night was originally 18 minutes long. 18 minutes. Think of that. Jeez. And I know Iron Maiden did Empire of the Clouds, that was 18 minutes long. I didn't expect this thing could have ended up being 18 minutes long. The reason I never released those songs and I never get it back again is because they were too long, and I didn't want to sit there recording 18 minutes when I finished recording 18 minutes. Now, the song Scream and Terror. Let's go back on the backstory for a second. Scream and Terror was one of the weirdest songs and featured one of my scariest songs to date. When people think of Halloween-ish songs or any Halloween videos at all of mine, they usually go to this song, Scream and Terror, for Halloween. Now, I don't get why Scream and Terror, the track, is so scary. I mean, I understand why it's scary because of the zombie-ish themes and, like, all the, like, Nosferatu stuff in it, because the spoken word intro from, like, this album was somewhat, I think, I mean, believe me, I was going for a more Number of the Beast type-ish album with this one. It's originally going to be a more devilish album, I'm not going to lie. This album was going to have a devilish cover to it. This was going to be a red and black cover with a devil's face on it. I'm not going to lie, that's what the album's original thing was. And then I figured, no, I think we'll stick with this. Scream and Terror, though, I think is a reboot of Number of the Beast. I've had people tell me that, but no. This is a way I did something scary on a song that I've never done before, and I don't know why this is my longest song to date. I have not made a guitar song that was 7 minutes long or more. Even on the next album that's coming out, I'm not going to lie, there's no 8-minute long songs on there. But there are songs that go up to the 4-minute mark, which I haven't done since... Did I do any on Civil War? I don't know. I know that my album Lost in Space didn't have any of that. Now, this album was one of the weirdest ones that I released in my periods of time, and definitely could have been received better. But, less talking, let's go to my 6th studio album. You know how everyone has that one bad album? Here it is. This album, Lord of Light, my 6th studio album, was released on May 15th, 2020. Oh man, I can't believe we're talking about this one. This has to be one of my worst studio albums to date. That got 64 reviews, received horribly. I hate this album as much as anyone will. Y'all can go ahead and hate on it, I don't care. This album sucked, actually. I didn't like it. The cover is cool, okay? But the album itself is not. Metallic Repair is like the only single you're probably going to get. The rest of the songs are not as good. And did you know the opening chord in God's Last Praise? Oh my gosh, it's horrible. And obviously this album contains the song Metallic Repair, Reload the Guns, God's Last Praise, Lord of Light, the track, Flight in the Night, 49, and Promised Lands. What the heck was I thinking when I released an album like this? Okay, I released this studio album that was bad. Okay, that happens to every band. Every band and musician will release a bad album. I think this is my bad album. And I'm not thinking Frostbite was bad, but it was somewhat different to me. I didn't think Frostbite was a big album in my opinion. It was definitely heavy recording on it. But the newest album is coming out. Oh, there's a lot of different sound changes. Oh, I did some sound changes to this next album, which you'll see, obviously, on February 5th, most likely. I might even release it early. I don't know. But about this album, it's a weirdish album. It does not sound good. Believe me, when I play, I mess up tons on this album. I never had time to actually, like, I was told by some people, just rush out now, rush out now. And 49 is actually 41 minutes, so maybe I should have named it 41. But, you know, I'm not going to change it because it's too iconic to change anything around here. Including my logo, I'm not even going to change. I just don't like this album in general, so can we just go to Age of the Darkness, please? Yeah. Now we go to my 7th studio album, Age of the Darkness. 91 views, received better than Lord of Light. This album had some of the biggest tunes. Oh my gosh. Modern War, the track I can't even play anymore. If y'all saw the live stream, y'all know I played that song in there. And y'all saw how hard it was to play. It wasn't an easy song. But I think that this album was great actually. But actually, this and the next album are a double record, so, but all I have to say is this obviously contains the songs Modern War, Live Quick, Facing the Dirt, My Desire, and The Path That's Right. This album was wait, what day was this album released on? What day? June the 3rd. A June album. If that's interesting, I don't know what it is. Let's go to the next album, and maybe we got some improvements from there. Moving on to the second part of the Age of the Darkness album, we have my 8th studio record, Dark Side of Death. Dark Side of Death, I mean. This was released on September 28th, 2020. Being my, again, another 5-song record. There is material that was left over from the Age of Darkness sections, but they weren't put onto this, so I don't know. I might just release them as EPs or whatever, demos or whatever. Anyways, though, this was the one album that I think had metal-ish stuff to it. Don't get me wrong, the last 3 that came before this were metal albums themselves, but this was a true metal piece. Now, Dark Side of Death was in fact received badly. Oh my, this was probably the worst received album I got out of any of them. It definitely wasn't good. I worked hard on these songs. Believe me, I did work hard on some of these songs. And some of the songs were not easy to make. Like, the song Dark Step, Dark Night wasn't an easy track to make, and Dark Side of Death, the track was also not easy to make. Now this contains the song Final Showdown, Lightning Comes at Night, Flash of Fury, Dark Step, Death track, and Dark Step, Dark Night. This was a weird album. September 28th release was just out of the random. I'm also noticing I released this after my birthday, too, so that was weird. I know that my birthday happened just, I think, 2 weeks after this album, before this album was released. But why did this album have to be made? I'm sorry, am I the only one who doesn't like this album that much? Let's go to my 9th studio record, which happens to be one of my personal favorites of the guitar line. Now that we have my 9th album, which is, well, Civil War, released on November 9th, 2020. What can I say? I actually have some facts about this one before we go into deeper details of it. This album was released when I was doing online schoolwork. Yeah, when we went online for about a month, and this album, actually, I was recording it at the best times I possibly could while I was doing school. Oh man, I'm tired, but now, this contains the songs Save Our World, God's War, Triumphant Death, Fear of the Death, The Pit, Beyond the Night, The Unforgiven, Fire in the Sky, and The End of the Mist. Okay, now I wanted to say that this was originally the last album of 2020 until I decided I had group that material to save over, and we put that on my 10th album that came out no less than 2 weeks after. And this came out also 2 weeks before I made that next record. Now, I can't think that Civil War was hated. It got 85 views. Y'all love this more than Dark Side of Death. Believe me, I did too. Now, this was my first 9-track album ever. But obviously, it's not the album that has the most tracks until we get to the Frostbite the Current album that I released. There was a little fact before we get on to topic about it. This was in development for a while. I know that Dark Side of Death came out September 28th. No album was released in October. Not even a tease of one, I think. I didn't even tease this album yet. Did I tease this album on anything? I didn't tease it on Facebook. I didn't tease it on Discord. And I definitely didn't tease it on Twitch. Because I didn't have Twitch then. Yeah. But I think it's a masterpiece, so let's go to the next one. It's an awesome masterpiece next one. Alright, here we got the 10th studio record. My 10th studio record, Lost in Space, released on December 1st, 2020. This contains the songs The Final Frontier, Boy, Bad News, Noise Alert, Give Me the Power, All Girls Come On, and Lost in Space, the track. This was a great album, actually. I think that it did well. It's got 45 views, not a great reception, but definitely is okay. Now, this was my first Groove Pad album since Broken Life. That was 4 records, I think, before that happened. No. 5 records after this. Oh, man. Jeez, I wait long enough to do it. I had Groove Pad on my phone in July. I could have released an album with this in July. And I didn't. Which I kind of feel bad because if I really... But I would have felt bad because if I really did do that, I don't think Age of the Darkness and Dark Side of Death would have existed at this point. I think they wouldn't have existed. And I still wonder what it would have been like if those 2 albums didn't exist. I still wonder what it would have been like if Lunar Light didn't exist. We should make that up. The facts for this one, I'd say, Boy is not my shortest track, but it definitely is a great song. Boy also was the track that opened my live stream as well. A little fact, I guess, there for real quick. This is containing all the information about these. You can hear all this information. Oh, and I did leave a fact about Broken Life out real quick. I might want to mention that. I was inspired with that name, Broken Life, from the 2008 film of the same name. You can go look at Wikipedia. It's there. We'll see that at the end. I'll show you that at the end of the video, and you'll see. It was the inspiration for that album, actually. But back to this one. I think that Lost in Space is great. It was a great album. It got received beautifully. Let's go to my next one. And finally, we have made it to one of the last albums I've made to date. This is Frostbite, was released on January 4th, 2021, and it's currently got 33 views. This is my longest album, I think, to date. It contains the songs The Final Fight, Death's Construction, The Human System, Lost in Time, The Song of Destiny, Frostbite, The Track the World's Watching, War Is Not the Answer, Through the Night, The Pause, and Our Last Shot. Okay. Some of y'all didn't like the quality of the album. Believe me, I didn't either. It wasn't a big album on its day release. I teased it. I don't think I actually teased it on YouTube, except like when I was ranking them the last time. Frostbite was in development though for a while, and I did this whole album in one day. Believe me, that took me a while to do. I had only an hour to record all this, and I recorded it all. You're welcome. The next record I was recording at random points, but this record actually wasn't as big on release date. When it was released on January 4th, I remember looking and seeing the view count go up slightly for all the songs. And so far, I think The Final Fight and Death's Construction have like the biggest view count of any song on this album. But I'm starting to think that the next album is already gonna be a big hit. Like, it sounds too beautiful not to be one. But we'll have to see what y'all think of the next record. Let's go to my 2 other unreleased. So this is considered one of an album, but I really never did anything to really debut it. This song, the Jingle Bell Rock parody, was released on December 17th, and is not going to be on any album, and it's not going to be on the next one. This song was actually made for a school project, but I figured why not we just put this here and we say, hey, we got this, we did this, look at this, you can go look at this album. And I don't think the song's great. I don't know. It sounds weird. But the lyrics are truly funny. I'll post the original lyrics so y'all can hear how I did it. Weird album though. Yeah. Let's just skip over the diss track. Here we have my Cat a Gamer diss track. 3 views on this album. Yeah, you guys seem to love this. I'm just playing. It got 66 views as I'm aware of right now. This diss track was no way to against KO. It was, but it was. Okay, let me explain something. What I said in the video, I did not mean against him. Okay? I actually truly adore that man. He's the one who got me here. He got me to YouTube fame. It's a 4-minute and 59-second diss track. I know, that's weird. I did a whole song that was almost 5 freaking minutes long. Oh my goodness. It was freaking funny. I find it more funny than I did mean. KO actually is trying to currently work on a follow-up to release something. And he's probably going to diss track me back. So far, my school right now is obsessed with this song. So, I mean, I've gotten so many people coming up in my classes and stuff saying, hey, when are you going to do another one of these? Are you going to roast KO again? No, I'm not going to roast him again. I'm going to roast someone else again. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but I do want to roast another one of my old friends, and I want y'all to get mad at him for his troubles. Because I will announce what he's done. So let's go. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot to freaking pause it. We'll translate. Here we go. Now we have to go to my first ever live album, the Night of the Broken Life 2021 live event. This was recorded on January 5th, 2021. This is actually one of my favorite things I've done on this channel. I loved this musical. Oh man. And y'all seem to really like it too. I mean, shoot. I had a lot of people attend it. And it was all over my Facebook lately. People liked it and said, hey, we watched this. I do want to do a follow-up to this. Believe me, I really do. I want to do a follow-up so freaking bad. And I'm gonna do it soon. Now let's go to the... Now, we will review the other greatest hits. We don't need to do those, because those are just compilation albums. I can say all the same for it. But I hope you guys enjoyed this history. If y'all want to see more historical videos, well, make sure you go follow me on all my social medias. You know, yeah. I ain't posting any links in the description because it's like, what time is it right now? It's freaking 9. What time is it? Let me look at my phone. It's 9:31 right now as I was recording this, so I'm gonna go to bed. So, good night. And I hope you guys